Good evening. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Councilman Box, if you'd be so kind.
Good evening, everybody. If y'all join me for a moment. Father God, we thank you so much for this day, Lord. We thank you for all the blessings that you've given us, Father. We come before you, and we're just grateful for everything that you allow us to see and do here as neighbors, as citizens. Lord, we thank you that even in our disagreements, we can be kind. We thank you that in our strife, we can be gentle, and we can pull together as a team. We ask for your blessings on everything we set our hands to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And by the way, I've got the naughty list still.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you for that. We'll go ahead and do a roll call. Councilwoman Cuellar? Councilman Box?
Here.
Councilman Sims?
Here.
And myself present. Let the record show Councilman London is absent. At this time, I look for a motion on the approval of the minutes from the November 21st, 23 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from November 21st, 2023.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. At this time, I look for an approval of the current bills for payment.
Motion to approve the current bills of $238,969.46.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, no opposed there. At this time, we look for any professional or consultant reports this evening. Any professionals or consultants to deliver a report? All right, fair enough. Mayor, you have the floor, sir.
Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you to everyone that has come out tonight to hear us to be able to deliberate on the business of the city, as well as to be able to receive a few checks, as well as to be able to do some presentations. However, before I get started and move into my part of the presentation, first of all, I would like to thank everyone that has supported the Stewart family during the death of my mother. We received an outpouring of gifts. You all know I'm a diabetic, but that didn't stop everybody from sending cakes. So I may go into a diabetic coma before we make it through the rest of the Christmas holidays. But I just want to thank you all. It really, when you're in a time of need, that's when you really know how much people care for you, they love you. So I want to thank everybody that came to the family hour. I want to thank everyone that showed up to her celebration on Friday, and for all of the flowers, the food, the cards, the money. I just want to say thank you, and I would not want to be in another city with all of the love and the outpouring that you all have shown towards my family as we go through this time of bereavement. Okay, let's move on to, I have several things that I want to announce, and then I'm going to do a few presentations. On December the 16th, we're going to be doing a ham giveaway in front of City Hall. It's going to start at 9 o'clock, and we'll be here until the last ham is given out. On December the 20th, we're going to do a blood drive. We're asking people to come out and to be able to give the gift of life, which is providing other individuals with blood as we go through the holiday season. On December the 30th, this is the first time that we've been able to do this, but we are going to celebrate the Auburn football game as well as the Alabama football game. So on December the 30th, presented by Mayor James Douglas Stewart Jr., we will be celebrating the Auburn Tigers as they play the Maryland Terrapins at the Irondale Civic Center. We're just asking everybody to come. Now, it's a BYOB. Got to bring your own stuff. But we will provide you with having an opportunity to be able to see the game. Then on January the 1st, we're going to celebrate Alabama versus Michigan. And this event also is presented by Mayor James Douglas Stewart Jr. And I would love for you all to come out to the Civic Center and to be able to participate in that event as well. Now I'm going to move to the presentation period of my report. First of all, I would like to celebrate a long-time Irondale resident. His name is Mr. Willie Poe. Willie died the first week in November, and he was buried on November the 8th. I think I was out of town at that time, and I didn't get a chance to be able to take this proclamation and to be able to read it at his funeral. But one of the things, if you knew anything about Willie, I would say he was the most truthful, straightforward person that I ever known. In my first election, and he was very good friends with Tommy Joe Alexander, and we were all in the Exchange Club. And Willie came up to me and he said, and the only way that Willie would say it, "James, I love you a lot, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm voting for Tommy Joe." And I would say he's the only person that I've known that is truthful during election time, because you know a lot of people will tell you that they're going to vote for you, but you really never know if they are going to vote for you. Well, Willie was straight with me and said, "I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm not going to vote for you." And we had been friends ever since then. And I respect him for his truthfulness. So at this time, I'm going to ask Miss Poe and Elizabeth if they would come to the front as I read this proclamation about Mr. Poe. And also, he drove the train for the city, the original train. He drove that for the city. So Kim pulled out this picture of him driving the train when Christian and Jade were little kids. So I'm going to pass this around so you all get a chance to see what the original train looked like. Miss Poe has a larger picture there of Willie, and she made sure when she sent me the information that she also sent pictures as well. So if you all want to get a chance to be able to look at her beloved Willie Poe. I'm going to read this, Miss Poe. I'm going to use the microphone, and I'll come around there and let you say a few words if you'd like to. Okay. Whereas Mr. Willie Clay Poe was born on July the 3rd, 1932, and went to be with his Heavenly Father on November 3rd, 2023, and at age 91. And whereas Mr. Poe was a resident of the Overton neighborhood and a strong supporter of the city of Irondale. And whereas Mr. Poe was a devout Christian, an ordained deacon, and dedicated Army veteran who served for 8 years during the German occupation. And whereas Mr. Poe was honored by the city of Irondale with a Golden Deeds Award for his community and civic contributions. Whereas Mr. Poe was a truck driver and a mechanic who retired from the Teamsters Union and embarked on a second fulfilling career in the firewood and pine straw business. And whereas his favorite scripture was Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Whereas he leaves behind his lovely wife of 67 years, Annie Ruth Moore Poe, as well as countless friends and family members to cherish his memory. He was a proud father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, James D. Stewart, Jr., Mayor of the City of Irondale, issue this proclamation in celebration of Mr. Willie Clay Poe and the life and legacy, in witness whereof I have signed and sealed on the 5th day of December 2023. Paul, you want to?
I won't say very much, but he was very proud of being a part of Irondale. When we came into Irondale, it seemed like it was the other day, but it's been several centuries back. He would have been proud of this, knowing that he was being recognized, because when you get to be as old as we were, or as I am, and he's dead now at 91, we planned a lot of things about his hereafter and his funeral. He says, don't make no fuss, just go on and just do it, and have the army to come out and just do it with a little casket. And he had paid for it way in advance back in the early 2000s, and mine also was paid for. Appreciate y'all listening to me. Thank you very much. This is my daughter that's with me. She's been driving all day coming in to be here tonight. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Y'all make sure those pictures make it back up to the front. Let's see. Okay, the next award I would like to give out is to Class Tran. The City of Irondale is giving a $2,000 donation to Class Tran because they provide transportation to citizens in Irondale that do not have the ability to be able to get to doctor's appointments and things like that. So we want to make sure that we continue to provide funding to be able to help that. It's one of the things that the pastor said at church on yesterday. You know, so often we get criticized for providing money to nonprofit organizations. And a lot of people don't see the value in that because they love to say that it's taxpayers' money. Well, I would like to inform everybody that everybody that lives in the city of Irondale is taxpayers' money. It's my money. It's your money. It's everybody's money. But nobody has the market cornered on taxpayers' money. But one thing that I would say, since we've been a blessing to other people in the community, we now have more money in the city than we ever had in the city before. I never remember the city having a $32 million budget and giving out maybe less than 1/10 of the funds that comes into the city. So it gives me great joy and pride to be able to provide funding to these organizations with the support of our wonderful city council, who makes it happen. As we constantly hear, they are in control of the funds. So I want to thank you all for providing those funds as well. And if the individual from Class Tran is here, I would love for you to come to the front. And if you all don't mind, if you can keep your chatter in the audience down to a minimum. Okay. Well, they still would get this by default. Okay. And the last organization that I would love to be able to support tonight, I've been called a lot of things, but I've never been called a rock star. And at the last council meeting, I was called a rock star. I didn't know I was that popular in the community that I had my own brand. But I had an individual to be able to say that about me because they said also that I did not know who I was supporting. But in the words of Martin Luther King, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And I feel that being the chief executive officer for this city, that I have a responsibility to speak up when incorrect information is given to discredit an organization. Also, I wouldn't be standing in front of you today if there wasn't organizations like the NAACP, SNCC, and if you're going to go research that, that's SNCC, CORE. These were groups in the 60s that was described as covert groups, or groups that were against the American principles, groups that were against the civic fabric of this country, only because they were trying to help African Americans to be able to get the right to vote. So what about if that stigma would have stuck with those organizations when people gave out all kind of erroneous information? So what you have there for you tonight, because I believe that there's two things. There's truth and there's your truth. And we're put here to speak not our personal truth. We're here to speak the truth. So there was a statement made at the last council meeting that the organization that I supported spent over 86% of their funds on salaries. And that was pulled from the 990. So what you have in front of you tonight, you have the 990 in front of you. And I've highlighted two of the areas on that 990. And I think the first one highlighted would say 254,000 and some change. And the second line item says 562. Now the 562 is the total amount of expenses that this organization incurred in 2021. The 254,000 is the amount of salaries that this organization spent in 2021. Now, if you divide 254,000 by 562,000, the magic number is 45%. So I don't know how we came up with this organization only providing 16% of the money that comes in to service people, because you have the correct document there, the 990, and you have the numbers there. And if you don't believe me, go divide 254 by 562, and it will equal 45%. At this time, I'm going to ask the Alabama Coalition of Immigrant Justice come to the front so that you can receive this donation that was approved by the City Council as public funds to help you to be able to further your mission.
I could say something really, I wanted to say thank you to Mayor Stewart and to Irondale. Our office has been in Irondale for at least 5 years. We love Irondale. I love the community that's here, and the work that we do is community organizing. We're here to build community, to connect people, and to make sure that everybody can live a dignified life in Alabama, because we all deserve that. And so it just means a lot to us that we've been able to build this connection, with the city council. And, you know, we'd love to do more in the future. So thank you.
All right, this is my truth, and this concludes my report for this council meeting.
Thank you for your report, sir. At this time, we would ask any department heads that may have a report this evening. Chief?
Not that tall. I just want to make sure that we mention, I know it went out in the newsletter, but we will be doing Santa Claus on the fire truck coming up on the week of December 18th through the 22nd. We're going to try to start around 5:30, right around dark, and do the same pattern that we did last year. So it's on that newsletter. We're also going to make sure we include the Heights this year, which is a neighborhood we've not done before. So just have that going on, and I just want to make sure everybody was aware of it.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. I know I enjoy stalking the fire truck with my little girls. All right. Any other department heads to deliver a report this evening? All right. That being said, we'll go ahead and we'll get into the council member reports. Just a little bit of housekeeping tonight. So in the prior meetings, there's always a slip on the back to, I just want to clarify something and I want to explain myself. There's always a slip for you to fill out your name, your address, and what you're speaking about, and that gets submitted to Miss Lee, our clerk here, so that she doesn't have to watch the Facebook video 15 times to try to figure out how you pronounce your name. So I, to my discredit, probably became a little lax on asking for people once they've hit the podium for that name and that address, and a lot of that was because I felt that it was redundant since the information was already received by our clerk. But going forward, for the benefit of the audience and everyone, not only are we going to require those slips, but I'm also going to ask you to state your name and your address when you come up to speak, either for agenda items or just in general comments towards the ending of the meeting. So I just wanted to go ahead and get that out there. So you may notice a little bit of a difference in that approach tonight. We have an executive session tonight. Normally, we try to put these at the end of our meetings, so not to delay you any further, but this executive session has to do with one of our agenda items, so I'm sorry, but we are going to, in a little bit, we are going to have to move into another room to have an executive session before we can get into the deliberation and stuff like that. So sorry we couldn't put it at the end, but we have to consider that executive session material for our agenda this evening, so you'll notice that. We also have 3 public hearings this evening on various topics, so you'll see us move in and out of those 3 public hearings as we go through before we get to our deliberation, so just stick with us through that as well. And then like I did last time, I want to read something. I'm going to try to continue to incorporate this because I know that we see a lot of new faces, so I'm going to read this probably for a few consecutive meetings. So public comments. To continue, to begin tonight's meeting, I wanted to make a few comments regarding the council process and procedures. From a city council standpoint, I'd like for us as a city council to address all points of order to me as the chair of the body, and I will bring order to the meeting. From a public standpoint, over the last few months, we have had a lot of new faces in our meeting, and I want to ensure everyone understands the process of our city council meetings. If you will look at our agenda, you will see that the meeting provides for periods of council deliberation and also periods for public comment. The discussions that the council have during council deliberation on agenda items are different than public comments. While people from the audience may stand up and speak to the council, these speakers are representing the corporation or individuals that is involved in that agenda item. These discussions are not subject to a time limit, and the length of said discussion is often dependent on the questions each counselor has regarding the items being discussed. I try to be respectful of everyone's time as we discuss an agenda item so that we don't spend too much time on any one item, but sometimes there are certain items that will take longer if there are more council questions on that item. We as a council do value your comments and feedback, so we do set aside time at each meeting for public comments to be heard, even though there is no legal requirement that the public has the opportunity to comment during a city council meeting. The public comments period occur at 2 times during a meeting. During public comments to the council on agenda items only, that's the items that you'll hear us deliberating on tonight. And there's also items that public comments, let's see here. Sorry, the numbers were off because I'm reading an old copy. Basically, that there are items to speak to the council on agenda items only. That'll be addressing the items that we are deliberating on. And then later, towards the ending of the meeting, there will be an opportunity for comments to the council on non-agenda items. So those would be the 2 opportunities to speak. So council, when we're deliberating with ourselves. Okay. And then please understand that when you are commenting to the council on various items, that you're commenting to the council. This is not a public meeting, and I will not tolerate banter back and forth. These people that are coming up to comment are doing so out of their own time, and that time is to be respected. Thank you very much. As far as my report goes this evening, I'm looking forward to Trash Amnesty. My wife gave me a real great time over the weekend with hauling a bunch of stuff out of the basement, so I appreciate that, and looking forward to that no longer being on the curb. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to all the people that joined the parade. It seems that since the parade has been back, it's been getting bigger and bigger, and I'm just looking forward to where it's going to go. And saw a lot of faces out there on the roads, and it was just an absolute fun time. So for all the people that came, I appreciate your presence. And I got the opportunity I didn't do a float this year. I got the opportunity to ride in a fire truck. And this is kind of a sidebar, but the gentleman that was driving the truck, the operator, we were talking about some city business because unfortunately that just happens organically. And he was like, the various counties around Irondale, we are the talk around emergency services and first responders. The actions that the mayor and the council are doing are being looked at by other municipalities and going, wow, they're really doing something special in Irondale around their infrastructure, their first responders and equipment that's necessary to make sure that, your livelihoods are provided or safe. So I just wanted to kind of lob that out there. I really appreciate when it's wonderful to hear from the mayor and from the leadership and everything like that. But when someone just kind of opens up and says, wow, people from other municipalities are saying, wow, you guys are doing awesome. I just really appreciated that. So I enjoy hearing that always because we don't always get to hear that feedback. So that is the conclusion of my report. Councilman Sims?
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Also, anyone who helped organize the Christmas parade, who took part in it, and who came out and watched, thank you. It was a great time. My daughter really enjoyed walking with me. She decided to do that about 8 minutes before I was leaving the house. So the fact that she had a red thing on that had Santa on it was a miracle, because she had on a unicorn that was purple before that. So that was great. She was Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody, like that last half of the parade. So she enjoyed it. Got to go from the parade to the Shades Valley High School Junior RTC Marine Corps birthday ball. And it was great seeing the students that are involved in the JRTC having their ball. They put on a great ball. I hadn't been to a Marine Corps ball in about 16 years, I think. And so that was good to see. And same thing, happy holidays. I think we've got one more meeting before Christmas, and enjoy your holidays. Stay warm.
There you go. Thank you, Councilman Sims. Councilman Box?
Thank you, sir. Just echoing the other 2 counselors' comments. Thanks everybody for coming. It's great to see a good crowd. People wanting to come out and be involved. Merry Christmas. Want to acknowledge our public safety guys and also Public Works for the work that they do in helping on putting on these functions that we have around the city. Granted, yes, they do get paid. It's kind of their job, but they could also say, hey, I can't work this extra time tonight. I don't want this extra time. So it is voluntary. It's not voluntary. So we can't speak high enough about the extra effort that they put in for the programs that we have going on around here. Also, Council President, may not be the appropriate time, but I'd like to ask, we're looking at making some changes to the format of our agenda. Can we schedule an ordinance committee meeting sometime during this meeting or shortly after so that Councilwoman Quaylar can address some of the things I've been speaking to Ms. April about?
Absolutely. I don't know if it would make sense to try to cram it in December. Are y'all good
No,
with
it'd be
addressing that in the new year? I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly
Is
fine with
something
that.
you would mind us looking at a date now, or should we wait till another time and just get a consensus via email or phone?
I know if for me personally, if we're going to go ahead and try to shoot something out in January, I would probably say maybe if it was a 5 o'clock meeting in front of a 6 o'clock council, that would automatically be safe. So I would ask that to be considered. As far as looking at my calendar and stuff like that, I have no idea what's happening in January. I'll be honest with you.
Councilwoman Carter, could I ask you to look at it when you have a chance and just get with us and see what we can
Be
do?
happy to.
All right.
Yes.
And with that said, that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. All right, Councilwoman Cuellar.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And I echo the comments made by the councils in regard to the Christmas parade, as well as the Marine Corps ball. That was an amazing ball that group of young kids put together. It was truly, truly something that if you're there and you're witnessing these young people, you have a lot of pride in what they're doing because they are the future leaders in our community at Shades Valley High School. And one of the things that I would like to say, since comments were made in regard to comments that I made, because that was directed at me, I'm the one that made the comments on the Form 940 form. What I will be doing is posting the Form 990 on my District 3 Facebook page, as well as the email distributions that I send out, because what I said was not only salaries, but administrative costs, such as healthcare and so on. And I'll even pull up that recording so that you can listen to my comments. And that is what I base that 86% figure on. The 16% was the one-time event, which was $92,000 for COVID-19 vetting. That's what that was for. But I will post that so that you can look at it and you can be the judge of whether or not anything that I stated at the council meeting was false. Second thing I'd like to mention is that I followed through on requesting RFPs for our OPEB, which is the Other Post-Employment Benefits investment account, currently managed by Regions Bank. And those whom I have contacted are interested in getting more information, details on the accounts, such as distribution needs and other formalities required by the city. Are these details available to send to them? And if so, when can I receive the information? Because I mentioned to everyone that has been contacted that I will need to provide you with their RFPs at our next council meeting being held on December 19th. So who can I get with that can provide me with more information?
Let me ask you one question. Because you said that you asked them to submit their RFP to you by December the 19th.
Yes, correct.
Have you posted the RFP in the newspaper of general circulation to give everybody an equal opportunity to submit to participate in the RFP?
Well, usually what we do is we contact 3 or 4 different groups.
That's not what you do with an RFP.
Well,
A
when-
RFP has to be submitted in the general circulation of a newspaper to give everybody an equal opportunity to participate. You can't cherry pick. Hold on, let me speak.
Okay.
You asked me the question. You can't cherry pick organizations to give you a quote. That's a quote. We said RFP. If you don't think that I'm telling the truth, I'll turn it over to legal at this time.
I'm not questioning what you're saying, sir, but I wish you'd have provided that information when you asked me to take charge of this.
You didn't ask.
Usually,
You
it is
didn't ask.
charitable to provide this information.
You didn't ask.
So, with that in mind, would you provide these details so that this can be posted in newspapers? I will get with legal and have her work with me so that we can get these RFPs.
Oh, yes, but what you need to do
Great.
first, you have to write the document. You got to
Great.
write the document first.
Right.
And you don't contact the organizations to tell
What-
them what to put in the document.
What I'm asking is that you provide us with the details that we need to provide them with what they need so that they can submit RFPs.
Only say if you're going to write an RFP, I'll provide you with the information.
Very good, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Now, the second item I wanted to mention is that at our last council meeting, I mentioned that I had attended the Alabama League of Municipalities classes that were held in Orange Beach. And in particular, one that was really a great presentation was the 2023 state changes to the state bid laws. I asked if I could share the slides, the photos that I took of the slides. They said, we'll go even better, Cindy. We'll just go ahead and provide you with the PDF presentation. I received that today, so I will be sharing that information with our legal counsel as well as all of you so that you have it. Third thing I wanted to mention is, can we look into having lighting at the roundabout? Because I've received several requests for lighting because it's very dark in the evenings when driving to and driving on the roundabouts. Is there anything we can do about working on providing some lighting there? Is there anything we can do? Mayor Stewart? is there
I'm not
anything-
aware of any plans or lack of any plans to provide lighting. That would be a question I would personally have to defer to Frank or one of our department heads. I don't know what
And
the
see,
plan
we're not allowed to
contains.
speak with the department heads, that's why I'm addressing the mayor, to ask if he can get with our Public Works Department and look into having some lighting for the roundabout. It is a safety hazard, and I'm concerned about it, and so I would like to know if we can look into having that roundabout, some kind of lighting around there. So, sir, would you get with the department head and ask if this is possible? The fourth thing that I wanted to mention is that because there's so many holidays that fall on Mondays, residents have contacted me to note that Irondale used to have a recycling drop-off point in the past. And they would be willing to take their recycling to a drop-off point. So is it possible for us to have a drop-off point for residents to take their recycling on the Mondays that the city is closed? There's so many holidays, and especially December the 25th and January the 1st, they both fall on Monday, and that will be 3 weeks that residents that are conscientious and want to recycle and don't want their recycling to be commingled with the garbage, that we would look into maybe having a drop-off point.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
please.
no, we will not look into having a drop-off point because the last time we had a drop-off point, we had a 30-ton bin outside of Public Works. People dumped everything into that bin other than recycling. I mean, we ended up having someone almost dumped half of a house into that, and Frank is over there raising his hand to verify exactly what I'm saying. But no, it's just too big of a problem for us to be able to do that, and we don't have someone to be able to man it 24 hours. We've given you two options. We say you can hold on to it until we pick it up, or since it's a free service that we provide to the citizens, and if it's causing you such a big problem to hold on to it, you can take it down to the Birmingham Recycling Center on 41st Street, and you can get rid of it that way.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll be sure to let them know. The next thing is, we discussed scheduling a finance committee meeting, and I'm wanting to ask if we could schedule one for December 19th. Councilman Box can come at 5 o'clock on December the 19th. Because of his schedule, it's impossible for him to come at any other time, any other date in the month of December. So can we look at our calendars to see if we can schedule a finance committee meeting on the 19th?
I'm good with the 19th. I'm
Council
good with the
President?
19th at 5 o'clock.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
I will not be able to meet with the council to discuss the finances of the city until after January the 17th.
After January 7th. With that being said, I don't know if the finance meeting would be irrelevant based on the lack of presence. So, I mean, I'm fine. I'll meet with you on December the 19th at 5 o'clock, by all means. I just have a feeling we're going to be handicapped by a lack of information.
Well, we do have the financial data for the end of 9/30/2023.
We will.
And when I did all the research on that, that is what I based it on, so that we could have some good data to look at. So if we can, I'd like us to have a finance committee meeting to discuss what I have put together for you.
Okay.
Councilman Box, are you good with the 19th at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, okay.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
Very good. All that is needed, ladies and gentlemen, for your benefit is, all it takes is 3 council members for us to have a quorum to hold a council meeting. We have 4 council members that can attend, and so we are going to look at scheduling a finance committee meeting on December the 19th at 5 o'clock. Miss Allison, would you please post that? Thank you. And the last thing I wanted to mention is one of the topics that we were discussing was the council packet, the availability of the council packet on our website. The reason that that came up is because it was posted on the Monday before the council meeting on November the 21st. It was posted on the 20th. That was the week of Thanksgiving, and it was removed the day after our council meeting. Our residents need more time when looking. Some of them were out of town, and when they came back, it was no longer available. When we passed this resolution, we committed to our residents that there would be transparency in our community. And to come up and put the agenda one day and then take it down, it reminds me of peekaboo. Here it is, now it's gone. That needs to be on longer so that our residents can look through what it is that we are making decisions on. So I'm fine with having it up for at least a whole week, but to take it down right after the council meeting, it's just not, it goes against the spirit of transparency.
May I make a recommendation?
Yes, you can.
So I've talked to April about this, legal, and to me, it makes a lot of sense. So yes, I agree. We're getting the agenda on the website so that people can see it. Okay. I do agree with taking it down after the meeting only to be replaced with the actual signed official copy after the meeting. So the idea about that is if we have resolution 1, 2, 3, 4 posted on an agenda, right? And if it stays there perpetually, you know, those new documents, because sometimes we amend documents on the floor, and the presentation of the original the draft document isn't necessarily the same as what's finalized. But if you revisit the site a few days after the council meeting within a reasonable time of posting the actual acted on agenda items, you're going to see a signature there for myself and mayor, any department heads or anyone involved, and you're going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is the legit item. And then what it's going to do is going to eliminate confusion, because if I'm a resident and I don't know, you know, we're inside the loop, and a lot of people are outside the loop. if they look and they see resolution 1234 and it looks like this, and they see resolution 1234 over here with signatures on it, it can create some confusion. So I am in agreement with stripping it down after the meeting, but replacing it with enacted information. Is that cool?
Yeah, I'm fine
Okay.
with posting the resolution in its entirety that is signed as well as an ordinance. Don't have a problem with that. In discussing this with our city attorney, I did note that Mountain Brook has theirs, never takes theirs down. And when I spoke with the council president about it, she stated our residents are intelligent enough to figure out that if it says draft and there are no signatures, then it's not approved. And then we have the minutes that tells them what's been approved and what's not. But I'm fine with posting them after posting these documents in their entirety, so that our residents, if there's a concern with that, they will know that these are the official documents that have been approved. So if we can do that, I'm good with it.
And before we go on any further with that, do we need to amend anything that we've taken already action on? We're good the way it stands? Okay, fair enough. So let the record show that would be the request.
That's the rest of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So that gets through the council member reports. At this time, we look for any reports of any non-council committees or boards. Yes, sir.
John Scholl with Exchange Club, 3848 Rock Ridge. I'd like to remind folks, we do have flags go to half-staff on the 7th, which was the Pearl Harbor Day. I'd like to remind you of that. Also like to thank the city for putting together the Christmas parade and party efforts. It was a lot of fun, and we enjoy doing it. We also have our Christmas in Irondale program going on right now, which we've done for 34 years here in Irondale. And we're accepting donations as well as looking for people that are in need in Irondale. We only work on the basis of referrals. So if a person or family has a need, contact our website and or the city, exchangebuildirondale.org is our email address, and I can get in touch with you regarding helping those families. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other reports from any boards or non-council committees? All right. With that, we'll need to make a motion to enter into executive session in order to discuss the consideration the governmental body is willing to offer or accept when considering the purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or market value of real property, and to discuss the legal ramification of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated if the government body pursues a proposed course of action.
I move we,
Motion to leave council meeting and go into executive session.
Motion?
second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Legal approximate time frame needed? About 20 minutes. Okay. Thank you for your patience. We'll return momentarily. All right, now that we're all back, I would accept a motion to exit executive session.
Motion to exit executive session.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Boom, boom, boom. All right, now we find ourselves in public hearing land. So notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the city council to hear comments from interested citizens concerning the weeds growing upon or in front of the property located at 2305 2nd Avenue North, Irondale, Alabama 35210, to determine whether the weeds constitute a public nuisance, which shall be abated by removal of the noxious or dangerous weeds, and if so, will order the abatement and removal of the nuisance. May I have a motion?
Motion to enter public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. And do we have anyone to open this for us? Yes, sir.
I have sent out letters to them during the abatement process too. Also sent out letters. Come to my understanding of the process, the owner is deceased. And I have not heard back from any legal party representing that property.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions for Polly? Councilwoman Quayle?
On number 178, resolution 178, notices have been sent. And this is not the one that has the owner that's been deceased, or is,
2305. 2305 is.
okay, thank you.
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
Myself, no questions either. I would say stay handy. Anyone in favor of the weed abatement? Anyone to speak in favor of the weed abatement? Do you have a comment? If you would like to come up and speak, we just need your name and address. Thank you.
And it's Thiel. And I live at 2205 2nd Avenue North, and I'm apartment B. I live about 4 houses down from there. It has a daylight basement, and I know that it's a private property and you can't enter it. I don't know what's going to happen with it because the daylight basement door is at varying stages of being open. So I think there's somebody living in there. He was visiting his family in New Orleans when he died. So I think there's a bed in there. I think there's places to sleep. But there's a lady that I sent her contact information to Mr. Kennedy, and she has paid for the lien. But it's her understanding that she can't touch it, I think, for an amount of time or something. So I don't know if anybody could help her. Mr. Kennedy has her information. I don't have it with me. I have it on my phone, but I don't have my phone with me. But is there any way that the city of Irondale could help her get control of it? Because I'm sure she would mow the lawn and all that.
We can surely talk about that offline.
Okay.
Gretchen, is the house abandoned, but the doors and stuff are?
The front door looks locked, but the daylight basement door that opens to First Avenue North is sometimes looking closed and sometimes wide open. The doorway frame, I went and looked at the doorway frame and it's completely busted where the deadbolt would be and where the doorknob is. That's all busted out.
Okay. Well, the only reason I was asking, I mean, if it's a public nuisance, we actually have an ordinance that allows in emergency situations for the city to board up the property and then attach a lien to the property owner.
But he's dead.
Well, it'll still go to the property.
Okay. And there's like I said, the lady that has paid the taxes on it for the past, I think, 1 year. She's paid.
Well, what I'm saying is, if it's a public nuisance, then we need to deal with the nuisance.
Yeah, thank you.
Regardless of
Okay.
who's the owner of the house.
Yeah,
We need to deal with the nuisance.
please, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor, are you saying that we need to amend this?
No, it seems like there's some, I guess you could say some demo issues on the other side that need to be looked at as well. Not just the weeds seem to be insignificant with the possibility of the house needing to go through the demolition process because it sounds like it's a public nuisance.
So you're saying it needs to show up on housing and abatements radar as well?
Exactly.
Okay, copy.
Exactly.
Okay. Do weeds first and see what you're dealing with? Copy. Okay, perfect.
Well, I would encourage you all to deal with the public nuisance, not the weeds. I mean, the weeds just outside in the yard. The public nuisance, somebody can go in the house and be injured, and we have a mechanism to be able to deal with it. So why would we not deal with that and just deal with the weeds? Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor of the weed abatement? Anyone opposed to said weed abatement? Okay, fair enough. Your comments are noted, Ms. Gretchen. Thank you. Mhm. All right. With that being said, I would ask for an exit of the.
Motion to
Thank
exit
you.
public hearing and go back to council meeting.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Item number 2. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the City Council to hear comments from interested citizens concerning the weed overgrowth upon or in front of the property located at 3932 Rock Ridge Road, Irondale, Alabama 35210, to determine whether the weeds constitute a public nuisance, which shall be abated, or removal of the noxious or dangerous weeds, and if so, will order the abatement and removal of the nuisance. Motion to enter public hearing.
Motion to enter public hearing.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Once again, Paula, if you'd be so kind.
This property, it's been on my radar for junk and now weeds. The property has been foreclosed on by Freddie Mae or Fannie Mae, I'm not sure which one. I can't get any response from anybody. Take care of the issue, send off letters, everything. No response.
Okay. Councilwoman Quayle, any questions for him?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
None.
And myself, no questions either. Anyone wants to speak in favor for the weed abatement? Anyone to speak against the weed abatement? That being said, I'd ask for a motion.
Motion closed.
Motion to close. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Thirdly, notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at the City Council to hear comments from interested citizens concerning the weeds overgrowth upon or in front of the property located at 5303 Dixieland Road Drive, Irondale, Alabama 35210, to determine whether the weeds constitute a public nuisance which shall be abated by removal of the noxious or dangerous weeds, and if so, will order the abatement and removal of this nuisance. Motion to enter public hearing.
Motion to enter.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Once again, how you doing? Different face. Take us through it, sir.
All through law. This property is a rental property that's become vacant. The rental company has failed to maintain the exterior of the property. Weeds, there's junk outside. The property owners, who is BSB Birmingham, located in Atlanta, was sent notifications for violations that proceeded all the way through the court process. Once the court process was complete, there still had been no maintenance performed on the property. When the abatement process was gonna be begun on the property, the notices that were sent to that were sent certified. Those notices have been returned as unclaimed. So the property has still not been maintained. We're still in the same boat with overgrowth and junk in front of the property.
Councilwoman Quayle, any questions?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. Thank you, sir. Anyone to speak in favor of this item? Anyone to speak against this item? All right. That being said, I'd ask for a motion to leave public hearing.
Motion to leave public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Okay. Please just allow me to struggle through my sinuses, so if I sound off, I apologize ahead of time. If I take a moment, then just please give me a little bit of grace. All right, item number 1 up for deliberation. All right. Resolve that Resolution 2023 R177 declares certain items from the Irondale Senior Activity Center as surplus and authorizes the disposal of such property by Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee through a sale at guddeals.com. Pretty straightforward. Councilwoman Quayer, any questions?
No questions?
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And no questions from myself. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then as far as items number 2, 3, and 4, those have been handled in public hearing. Just double checking myself. 2305 check.
May I ask you a question real quick?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
The mayor did say, and Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe we need to just postpone the removal of the weeds and move this over to something else, or just remove this from the agenda?
No, what I was saying was we need to continue with the weeds, but they also need to start the demolition process with the dwelling.
Thanks for clarification.
If I can
Perfect.
just add a comment, our resolution states that this property was declared a public nuisance through Resolution 2023 R-145. This was done on the 4th of October. So, I mean, it has been declared a public nuisance.
That is correct. And so what you're going to see here, because we have some other items that are dealing with weeds and noxious vegetables, there's kind of 2 rounds to this. It has to come up to be declared, and then it has to be noticed, and then it has to come back to us for final action. So to Councilwoman Cuellar's point, the first round has already gone through. This is the second round to actually move forward with the weed abatement. So that was the reason for the public hearings. But you may hear some other discussion about some other properties, and that would be the agreeing to notice. So it's a 2-stage process. It has to be noticed, then it has to come back in order to have action taken upon. Is that okay? Is that, I believe that's what you're informing?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Councilman Box?
No further questions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we agree to keep item number 1 on agenda, consent,
Yes.
222. All right, moving on to item number 5, and this would be an example of the first step in that process. Resolve the resolution 2023 R181 declares the weeds, overgrowth, and noxious vegetables matter located on the premises located at 5988 Amber Hills Road, Irondale, Alabama 35210 as a public nuisance and authorizes the abatement thereof. Anything to say on this one, sir?
No, we sent out, this is the house that burned down years ago,
Okay.
and nobody has taken any care for it. I've sent out letters, no response back.
Copy. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
I do actually have a question, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. I'm assuming, I mean, did it burn to the ground, or has the city already abated that structure and torn down what was there?
That structure has already been basically concrete foundation.
Do you know how often it keeps coming back to the weed abatement? I mean, is this the first time we're doing this? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Do we agree to keep that on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 6, resolve the resolution 2023 R182 declares the weeds, overgrowth, and noxious vegetable matter located on the premises located at 2309 2nd Avenue South, Irondale, Alabama 35210 as a public nuisance and authorizes the abatement thereof. Please.
That is a empty lot over here outside. Basically, nobody's taking care of it. Got no response.
Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions for the gentleman?
Nobody's maintaining the yard. Empty lot. Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Box, any
No
questions? Councilman Sims? Any questions on that one?
No.
The only question I have for you, how old was that picture that was of that lot?
It was the follow-up pictures I did.
Okay, so
Whatever happened.
months,
Month or two.
a month or two ago. So that I didn't drive by the property. In the picture, the grass didn't look tremendously overgrown. It wasn't anything like that
There's
raised.
some spots where you got overgrowth of other things like around the trees.
I saw some stuff in the back.
Yeah.
Right, it's more overgrown in the back.
Okay, copy. All right,
It's
thank
kinda
you.
hard, yeah, right, it's kind of hard to tell in the picture how high it is.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. Do we agree to keep item number 6 on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7, resolve that 2023 R183 declares the weeds, overgrowth, and noxious vegetable matter located on the premises located at 853 Brad Drive, Irondale, Alabama 35210 as a public nuisance and authorizes the abatement thereof. Yes, sir.
All right, this one is a house that got destroyed during that tornado outbreak we had
Mm.
4 or 5 years ago, I believe it was, maybe a little bit longer. They tore down the house and basically disappeared. Nobody's taking care of it. It's got pretty overgrown. Some of the people were actually, one of the neighbors was happy.
Nice. Councilman McQuarrie, any questions for the
No
gentleman?
questions.
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions on that one. Do we agree to keep item number 7 on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Item number 8, resolve that resolution 2023 R184 declares the weeds, overgrowth, and noxious vegetables matter located on the premises located at 5966 Amber Hills Road, Irondale, Alabama 35210 as a public nuisance and authorizes the abatement thereof. And finally, sir.
This one is, most of it's gonna be in the back, visible from the roadway. There's some stuff that needs to be taken care of in front. I have made contact with the owner. She lives up in Huntsville. She told me I gave her a chance the first time around. First part of the year, and about 60 days afterwards, I should do anything as part of the process again to get prepared. The one that and this time around, she did not contact me.
Okay. Councilwoman McCray, any questions there?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. Thank you, sir. We agree to keep item number 8 on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Outstanding. And then apologies. Going back to item number 2, 3, and 4, we discussed those in public hearings, and I usually see those in regular, but they're on consent. We have the ability to add them to consent. So those items that we just did public hearings on, do we agree to keep all 3 of those items on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
That's unanimous? Okay, fantastic. Thank you for allowing me to circle back on that. Moving forward, item number 9, resolve that resolution 2023 R185 appoints Shelley Ann Edge as a trustee for the library board for a term ending on September 30th, 2026. Do we have anybody to present this? All right, come on up, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Shelly Ann Edge. I am a big fan of the library and a big supporter, and I would love to help the library out in any way I can.
Okay, thank you for your time this evening. Councilwoman Cuellar, do you have any questions for her?
No questions. We have a vacancy. Is that what we're doing here? Yeah, I see all your resume. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering to serve on the board.
Thank you.
Councilman Box?
No questions, just echoing Councilwoman McCrellar's comments.
Councilman Sims?
Yeah, no questions. Just thank you. Thank you for being involved.
Thank you.
And I would say thank you as well. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Thank you for your interest. All right. Do we agree to keep item number 9 on consent?
Yes.
All right. Outstanding. Item number 10, resolve that resolution 2023 R186 authorizes the Alabama Department of Transportation to complete work for sign replacement on Interstate 459 from I-5920 exit 0 to I-59 exit 33. Mr. Pennington, your name is next to this. It's a pretty clear cut. I know that covers a large expanse of 459, but what we're talking about is the signage at the Auto Mall exit specifically in this. Councilwoman McQuarrie, do you have any questions? Do I need to bring Mr. Pennington out?
No questions.
Okay. Councilman Box?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And no questions for myself. Thank you, sir. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 11, resolve that resolution 2023 R187 authorizes the execution of a service agreement with Heidi's Kids in the amount of $1,000 for the provision of food and support to low-income children and families in need in the community. Councilman Sims, your name is next to this. Would you like to say something?
This organization does great stuff for kids and families in our community. And I believe the way it's ordered is to same as I think the city. We gave some last year, and so I just wanted to give them some money to do good things for people
Okay.
that are.
Is this coming out of your discretionary fund?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Councilwoman Quayer, any questions for Councilman Sims?
No questions. We did receive everything that was needed to comply with our service agreement. The only question I would have is, do we need to add language that would specify that it's coming out of Counselor Sims's discretionary funds?
Do we need to, I mean, can we just formally amend that on the floor since I've asked that clarifying question from the funding source?
You can just include it in.
Included in the record in the minutes? Does that satisfy you, Councilwoman Quayer?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. Councilman Box?
No questions.
And Councilman Sims, you've already explained it. I have no questions. I agree. Fantastic organization. Thank you very much. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. Item number 12, resolve that Resolution 2023 establishes guidelines for the presentation and promotion of community events utilizing public funds. Councilwoman Cuellar, this has your name beside it. Would you introduce it?
Yes. This resolution, we did make an amendment to the resolution in items number 2 and 3, so that it would state the City of Irondale, the mayor, and the city council present. That would be in both items number 2 and 3. And what I did was, when this was brought to my attention, I always do extensive research and looking at what other municipalities are doing. And I have, I'm sharing some of the research. Otherwise, you have like 12 pages, but I think it gives you an idea. The municipalities that I looked at were Homewood, Hoover, Vestavia Hills, Mountain Brook, Trustville, Leeds, Springville, and Gadsden. And when you look at this, and you look at the municipalities, there isn't the name of any elected official that appears in any of these community events. And this is why I presented some guidelines, because we don't have any on community events that utilize public funds. And so that was what came from the research in response to inquiries that I received from residents in Irondale, not just my constituents, but residents in Irondale. So I took a look at it and said, yeah, we do need some guidelines, and this is where this came from.
You, if I may,
Yes.
you mentioned you had some revisions. When were those submitted?
Ms. Dan, our legal attorney sent those out. Was it yesterday when you sent them out? She sent them to everyone on the council yesterday.
I agree. I received them. I was just curious at what time they were submitted, because it's obviously after the door closes for information to be submitted for the agenda.
Right. And
So-
there was some discussion that I had with a council member
Okay.
yesterday, and I was fine with the amendment, and that's why I proceeded to get with our legal counsel and request that the amendment be made.
But as far as championing and pushing information to be received in a certain amount of time, for this amendment to be received after that timeline, I would be willing to allow the item to stand as it is as submitted, but without the adjustments. How do you feel about that?
We can make the adjustments. I don't have a problem with making the adjustments. We can make the adjustments. We're allowed to make adjustments during our council deliberation. We're allowed to do that. And so I'm fine with it. I'm fine with these adjustments.
But sticking to the hard and fast rule of information not being received in a timely manner, that's why I'm saying I'm not going to allow the adjustments to be made to the item. If you want to let it stand as the item was presented originally in a timely manner, then we can deliberate that item.
What I'm saying is we have made amendments to resolutions during council meetings, proceedings, even though we didn't have deadlines, even though we have had our deadlines, and we've received information on the weekends, and we've received information on the day of the council. There is one resolution that we are adding that is not part of the council packet, and this is where I'm coming from.
And I understand that. But since this guideline is new, I understand that we've cut things on the floor and things like that when there was an emergency need. But I would say that this item needs to stand as originally presented. To your other point, that item that we'll be adding to the end of the agenda, it does meet certain criteria that would allow it to be added based on those pillars that we've discussed in previous meetings. So I would say this item would need to be introduced in its original context without the revisions.
In this case, and I will request that we remove the resolution and that I will re-present it with the amendments that have been presented to the legal attorney and that I am fine with.
Fair enough. So as we're going through deliberation, Councilwoman Cuellar has asked to remove this item for the agenda. Councilman Box, are you good with that?
Yes, if amendments or provisions can't be made from the floor on this one, and I understand the reason for your ruling in that direction, then yes, I'm good with its removal.
Okay. Councilman Sims, are you good?
Yeah, it's our resolution.
Okay, I agree
But
fully.
let me just get some clarification. Legal,
Council
are
President.
we not allowed to make
Councilwoman
amendments
Cuellar,
to?
one moment,
I-
please. Thank you.
Just,
Council
Mayor?
President, can I
Yes, sir.
just reiterate something? I think it was a couple of council meetings ago that we spent a lot of time going through a resolution, wanting to make sure that everything was received in a timely manner. And I think I stated at that meeting, before the clock strikes 12, someone would violate that by sending information after the timetable, which means that you can't have it both ways. You can't say that I want a hard deadline, but then when it applies to you, it floats through legal to float to the city clerk to be able to get on the agenda. So what I'm not arguing with you, Councilwoman Cuellar, about anything. I have a right to be able to state my opinion, but I also have a right, because I'm responsible for the city clerk, to make sure that you all don't take advantage of the city clerk's goodness, which means that when documents are submitted to this agenda of this body, it needs to come to me with that request, not to legal. Legal doesn't have the authority to tell an employee to do anything. And there's no one of you that are sitting up there that has the authority to tell an employee to do anything. So going forward, I just want to make sure that it's clear that if you all want the city clerk to do something, don't call her after hours. Don't send her text messages on the weekend. It can wait till Monday. You send it to me, and I'll get with the city clerk to see what direction we go in. And I'm saying that to everybody.
I understand. And so, please, thank you. And that's why I'm drawing such a hard line on this, is because we spent a lot of time on this. We agreed. And so that's why I'm drawing such a
if I
hard
may
line on this.
respond, please.
Please, briefly.
All right. We do have an ordinance that currently is in force. And in that ordinance, it's very clear that if there are some amendments or if there's anything that needs to be added and it's requested by a council member, that the body will consider that and allow it to come forward. That is in our ordinance. Do take a look at it because it is there. And that's where this was coming from. This was a request that was made by one of my colleagues. I was fine with it. Following through on that ordinance that is currently in force, that is why I took those steps. We do have an ordinance is a law. And in that law, it's very clear that a council member can do this during a council meeting, even after the deadline of Tuesday. And I would like to remind everyone that this is our council meeting, and it is this council that has this
This
ordinance in
deliberation is
place,
to us.
that-
This is
that
not
it
an
has this
opportunity to
ordinance
speak
in
to the
place.
body.
And I am asking that we follow through on that ordinance.
And that ordinance also says that it has to meet certain parameters, which this does not meet. Your
No, it-
revisions
it
do not
states that
meet
a
that.
council member can add.
We are
or
moving
can
on with our
question.
deliberation. Thank you.
May I make a one point?
Absolutely.
I think we have many citizens that are here to address this, so if we do remove it, then they could still comment on this on non-agenda items only.
That is completely accurate. Thank you, Councilman Box, for that clarification. Item number 13, resolve that resolution 2023 R189 authorizes the city attorney for the city of Irondale, Alabama to opt out and/or request for exclusion from the nationwide class settlements related to PFAS for the city, and authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee to execute any documents necessary therefore. If there's any, Mr. Morris, if there's anything that you feel to say on this, I would say, Councilwoman Cuellar, I know we've discussed this. Is there any, I asked for comments, but I don't think it's necessary, but is there anything that you would like to say about this?
Nope, no
Okay.
questions, no comments.
All right, Councilman Box,
No questions, no comments.
Councilman Sims,
I'm okay with this being on consent.
thank you. And I'm also okay. Everybody else agrees about consent?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 14, resolve that resolution 2023 R190 authorizes the execution of supplement number 1 to the memorandum of understanding with ALDOT for interstate lighting. Mr. Pennington, is there anything you would like to say about this? Oh, yes, that's right. Matter of fact, hey, come on up, sir. Please, Jim. I knew I was going to call you by your brother's name. I was trying so hard not to call you Joe. Thank you. Good evening.
Okay, so just a high-level overview. We've been working with Alabama DOT for a pilot project to upgrade and all the interstate lighting in Irondale, which is badly needed. The mayor and I met with ALDOT, gosh, it's been over a year ago. They started a project. It authorized, I think it was $633,000 to start with. And they did as much work on that as they could. A lot of underground repair work to wiring and everything that needed to be done just to get in a position to replace some of the poles and that sort of thing. They've done all the wiring with that, and there's a remaining of that original amount, $186,000. ALDOT is willing to spend the remainder of those funds along with $500,000 that the city will add in to that to replace the poles that are down. We're estimating, Frank, there's about 61 poles last count that we had. And according to ALDOT's estimate, those two combined will be enough to get all of the poles, new poles, and have those replaced. All the wiring is already there. So our goal is to have a fully functioning lighting on the interstate within Irondale. And then at that point, the mains of that would be picked up by the city of Irondale as we move forward. So that's just a high level overview. In addition, the agreement that AlDOT has given us commits them to give the city $500,000 in federal funds for a project of our choosing. We've had some discussion about that, and we're tentatively talking about resurfacing Grants Mill Road, starting at US 78 and really extending as far as we can, which we think will get us up into the old Sam's Club area or beyond. So that's all part of the agreement that we've had. So AlDOT committed the $633,000 initially, and another $500,000 for these combined projects. So I'll pause right there. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have. It's I think the original.
My understanding was that we would pay the $500,000 to continue the lighting.
That's right.
Because we're going to do paving in 24,
Yeah.
they asked us to identify an artery that would meet the federal guidelines. And we did that, which is Grants Mill Road.
That's correct.
They said that they would then provide us with an 80-20 grant, which the grant would be $700,000, but it was 80-20, so we would get the 560 from the 700,000, not the 500,000, and then get only 80% of the 500,000. That was my understanding.
I think the 700 ballpark is when the 80-20 split comes in.
So that's the difference from the split.
Okay.
The 500 would be the difference from the split, not the actual amount that we receive, because this is a federal grant that has an 80-20 split to it.
Right. And
So I just wanted to make sure.
what they put in the agreement is 500,000. So our responsibility would be 20% of that amount
Okay.
would be our match.
Okay, well, I would just like for us, because they said 700,000, 80-20, which means that we got 560.
Okay. I didn't understand it that
Okay,
way.
all right.
They committed 500.
Yeah, because 500 doesn't get us our 500 back.
Well, we'll go back and meet with them and talk about the other 60 if you'd like.
Okay.
But the agreement in front of us is for $500,000.
Okay.
Any questions for the consultant?
Yes, as I'm looking at this and based on the additional information that you have provided us, there's 186,000 that remains from the original funding
Yes, ma'am.
of the 686. There's 186,000.
That's correct.
And they're going to spend the remainder of that 186,000 to take care of additional downed poles that we currently have.
That's correct. And we
Okay.
think that will be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 20 poles, 18,
Okay.
20 poles. But AlDOT has committed to spend what's remaining in that original contract, which they've told me today is $186,000. They will use that to put up as many poles as they can.
Okay. And then the second question, when I look at the supplement number 1, the estimate that they're saying that we need to complete the replacement of the down poles is 500,000. That's item B. They're saying that that's what's needed to complete the replacement of the down poles. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. When we had that discussion of the 500,000, we understood at that time that there would probably be close to 200,000 left over. So it would take the two added together to do the 61 poles. So
Hey,
if,
Jim, I'm sorry. the 186 plus the grant for $500,000,
That's
it gets us there.
That's 686.
Yeah, because the cost to be able to do it was going to be 500,000.
Well,
for
the total estimate was 627, 223 that they gave us. And if you add our 500,000 and 186, so we got 686 versus 627, that allows for a contingency in there, which you always need in construction, so.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I hate to keep going over it, but I don't want them to adopt something because initially, okay, there are 61 poles down. There's $186,000 left over. It's $10,000 per pole, which means that we can get 18 poles out of the 186, which now means that there are 43 poles left over. And the 43 times 10 comes out to be 430,000. But if we only have 500,000, and then we have to, that's an 80-20 split. So that means that we're going to get 400,000 to be able to take care of the 430,000, which means that they're a $30,000 deficit.
No, the 500 is for the paving project. The
I know, but that's okay.
That's
We'll
two,
talk.
two
We'll talk.
different projects.
Yeah, but there are two. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about
Do we need to revisit this item at a later time?
it. No, I just think that the way that we're doing the math on it is different, but we get to where we need to be. So I'll just say we get to where we need to be, but I'll discuss it with you, Jim,
Well,
how we get there.
okay, the 500,000 that will combine with Aldot's lighting project, that's city funds with no match to that from Aldot. Because of that, and if you look at the agreement, they agreed to help us set up a federally funded project that they would put $500,000 of federal funds in. We would have to do 20% match of that. So there's two separate projects here. But again, the 500,000 for the lighting project is all city funds that we're committing to.
Got it. Councilwoman Cuellar, does that satisfy your question?
So let me go
Item
back
B.
to your question.
Yes, thank you.
If you had
If I
the,
may, please, with no interruption, so he can speak to us.
Of course, of
Thank
course.
you.
so if you, Ms. Cuellar, if you add the 500,000 that the city is gonna put into the lighting project, the 186 that Aldot has left over, that's 686. Their estimate for all 61 poles was 627 and some change. So there should be enough based on their estimate to complete the project with some contingency.
Right, so item B is what the city will be responsible for putting up for the remainder of the down posts in the supplement number 1, where it says the estimate of additional funds needed to complete the replacement of the down poles is 500,000. You're saying that 500,000 is what the city will need to put forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then in item C, the state in turn will contribute 500,000 in federal aid funds to be used on an eligible project of the city's choosing. So we know that those 86 poles are gonna be taken care of with what they are willing to finish, the 186, and the 500,000 that we will also put, that will take care of the 86 poles, correct?
61 poles.
61 poles, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
That will take care of those 61 down posts,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And so the state then will provide the city with 500,000 so that we can do some other lighting projects that you just mentioned around the former Sam's building,
That's not for light, that's for a resurfacing project
resurfacing. Very good, thank you.
to overlay the roadway. It needs resurfacing, and that's a project that we've worked with Public Works to identify the need.
Okay, and this resurfacing will take place on which roads? Grants
Grants
Mill?
Mill Road, beginning at Highway 78
Okay,
and going to the, I'll say the vicinity of the old Sam's Club site.
okay.
And we know that through our discussions, that project is eligible for federal aid funds.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Councilman Box?
Sounds like that we have some proposals in place, but we're not sure exactly how it's gonna curtail, but, if I'm spending money out of one pot, to get one thing done, and then I'm gonna get money back into that pot to get another thing done, as long as my funds are comparable, I'm okay with it.
Councilman Sims?
I believe all my questions have been answered.
I believe that mine have been answered as well. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you. Sorry for the math confusion, Mayor.
Do we agree to keep item number 14 on consent?
Yes.
All right.
Just wanna see what happens.
There you go. All right, item number 15. This would be under the regular agenda. Yes. I was going to add it as item number, let's see here.
17.
You're on the right path.
Yeah, I was going to add it in line and then see if we could flip it. Item number 15, ordain that ordinance 2023-34 amends the zoning ordinance for the city of Irondale, Alabama, set forth in the Irondale City Code with respect to the city's recreational vehicle park zoning regulations. I know we had an ordinance meeting on this. It was discussed. Councilwoman Cuellar, if you care to introduce this.
Yes, this ordinance was originally proposed on November 7th and was postponed at the request of Council Pro Tem London. Had asked that we discuss it during an ordinance committee meeting, which we did. Basically what was added was Article 2 definitions, Section 2:74, which has to do with the storage of such vehicles. And that was a wonderful suggestion that was made by one of our constituents that came to the ordinance committee meeting. And we were able to work with it. And that has been added, and it is 6 acres is what is needed here. And everything else that is in red is what was proposed on November 7th that you're seeing there. And then the additional section that adds the storage allowances. So that's all the information I have. We discussed it. I'm good with it the way it is. Thank you to our legal team for helping us to add the storage information.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cuellar. Councilman Box, any follow-up comments on this?
What all we discussed.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
All right, and I have no questions there either. It is an ordinance, so we'll need to take it through the 3-step process. Item number 16, ordain that ordinance 2023-35 amends Chapter 17, Article 1, Section 17-7, parentheses A, parentheses 8 of the Irondale City Code to include Highway 78 to Interstate 459 as a prescribed freight route within the city. Officer Polly, would you care?
Yes, I just did that for clarification to make it easier from an enforcement standpoint with all the new development we've got coming up and down Grants Mill Road. Just avoid any issues of, is this a delivery, is this not a delivery? Plus with it being 4-lane road. Just to make it easier for everybody.
So it would be a designated truck route though?
Yes.
Okay, copy.
And people were starting to use it anyways, is when the traffic will back up from the interchange, cut back over.
Okay.
The other side anyways.
Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions for the gentleman?
Yeah, the only thing, and I had mentioned it to our legal attorney, this states from Highway 78 to Interstate 459, and the question I had for our attorney was, well, how does Publix get its freight deliveries if they're located on Grants Mill Road? So are we including Grants Mill Road, or what are we doing? Highway 78 to Interstate 459?
the space of Grants Mill Road from Highway 78 to 459.
Okay.
I just did, I did that way to make it, where there's no issues. It's not like the big four lane. I've noticed trucks started using it more, understanding that it might route.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be easier to create less confusion for truckers if they are making a delivery. Even though there is an exception, sometimes truckers use it and don't realize it's not, because it's
Okay.
four-lane road. Most four-lane roads are okay for truck routes.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Box, any questions for the
No, I'm
gentleman?
clear. Thank you.
Councilman Sims?
Since it did not say Grants Mill, I was confused, but now, since it's been cleared up, I'm assuming something prior to 8 says Grants Mill in the ordinance that we don't have.
Yes. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. Once again, this is an ordinance. It'll need to go through the three-step process. Were you about to make a comment, Councilman Box?
I was just gonna ask if we could move it, but you said everything.
Yep. And then what was added tonight, this would be item number 2022 R191, authorizes the purchase of this copy that I have. I can read all of this, correct? Okay, got you. Authorizes purchase of real estate at 2166 Ruffner Road, Irondale, Alabama 35210. I know we discussed this in executive session. Any follow-up comments, Councilwoman Cuellar?
No comments.
Councilman Box?
No comment.
Councilman Sims?
You said 2022 instead of 2023, but.
Thank
other
you
than
for
that, no
catching me.
comments.
I appreciate you.
I
All
do not want
right.
to redo this year.
For the record there, thank you. And then I have no comments on this. Since this is a resolution, would we be okay moving what would be item number 17, resolution R191 to consent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when this is introduced, if we could please just keep that in mind. All right. So, let's see here. Get back to my stuff. All right. At this time, I would ask for an approval of the form of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the form of the agenda.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. At this time, we would take comments on agenda items only. The items that we've deliberated, we would accept. Please. Once again, we look for the slip, but we still need your name and address at the podium, please. And I will be enforcing the 2-minute rule.
My name is Donna Pike, and I live at 440 East Ventura Drive, Irondale, Alabama, 35235. And I've already been in trouble for not speaking to the council, so I will speak to the council, although this involves the inspectors, et cetera. I noticed on the agenda that the zip code for our area, they have wrong. It's 35235. And it seems to me that they rely heavily on the mail, to send notices and about different areas. And so I wanted them to know, because I don't know about you, but sometimes when you get the zip code wrong, it delays things. So I wanted them to be everything in Roebuck Plaza out that way is 35235.
Thank you.
Not 35210.
That's actually very pertinent. Thank you.
I think that's all I had to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I hope I didn't run over my 2 minutes.
We're good. All right. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
I've already been in trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Mary Scherer at 5276 Amber Hills Road. I appreciate you letting me speak to the council. This is about the opting out of the, I think it was number 13 on the agenda, and on the agenda for opting out of class action settlements on PFOAs and POFS. Those are the forever chemicals that are contaminating our land and contaminating our water. So I'm not sure why we're opting out of the class action suits. We're already in it, so if we opt out. I've sent you, given you all a copy of a Time article from this past week, just saying that these lawsuits could be bigger than the tobacco settlements from many, many years ago. The products that carried these chemicals are in food and continue food packaging, clothing, shoes, cosmetics, contact lenses, wall paint, toilet paper, cookware, Teflon. Teflon's one of them. Feminine hygiene, stain resistance, stain retardants, water retardants, and firefighting foam. Now, I talked with our chief, and he said that Irondale currently does not use any kind of firefighting foam. If there's a fire that's an explosive or can't be put out with water, they would call Birmingham in, because Birmingham has that ability and has different chemicals or different compounds. But we have past exposure to these chemicals. Years and years ago, you had a non-water type of fire, they put it out with foam. So the ground has been contaminated. In October, the Environmental Work Group tested Irondale's water and said the tap water that was tested behind the Irondale Senior Center, that's where the actual testing spot was, I don't know what home it was in, was over the amount that would be recommended for the 2024 recommended amounts for the national safety. So we're going to be responsible in some way to have to clean that water. It was my time up.
Yes, and
I'm sorry.
rest assured there's a reason for everything.
I know.
Thank
So
you.
I was hoping you could address that.
Unfortunately,
Thank you.
we can't right now because
Okay.
of litigation and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Um,
Everything has a reason.
you missed one of the deadlines. DuPont was yesterday.
Very aware.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other comments to the council on agenda items only? All right. With no other, yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Chuba Medlick, 5725 Belmont Drive. And I would like to voice my support for Councilwoman Cuellar's resolution 2023. I think it's clear that both Mayor Stewart and the members of the city council have worked tirelessly.
Sir, that item was actually pulled from the agenda.
I thought you said we could speak on it.
Absolutely, you can, but since that item was pulled from the agenda, you can actually speak when we call up for agenda, or for comments on non-agenda items.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to speak on it, but since that item was pulled, not at this time.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any other comments on agenda items only? Okay. At this point, we would go ahead and approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, the addition of item number 17, 2023 R191.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Do you approve, Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that takes us all the way through. Who's got the air conditioner on?
Council President,
Yes, sir.
there's some mumbling that I keep hearing while we're trying to deliberate
Okay.
on the issues. Can you please ask the people in the audience if they would-
Sinuses are probably affecting my
Yes, if they
hearing, so
would-
thank you.
if they would
If
be
we could keep the
quiet.
comments down so that we can make sure. I know sometimes I struggle to hear, even just a moment ago, I struggled to hear one of my peers, so thank you for that. All right, going on to new business. If someone could go ahead and take us through the process on item number 15.
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-34 be considered read.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye. I make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-34.
Second.
Motion and second roll call. Councilwoman Quayle?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-34 be approved and adopted.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. If someone could take us through item number 16.
Make a motion that ordinance 2023-35 be considered read.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-35.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call. Councilwoman Quayle?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Make a motion that ordinance 2023-35 be approved and adopted.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. That approves the deliberation and the agenda. Now, at this time, we would accept comments on non-agenda items. Yes, sir.
My name is John Gilliam, and I live at 2225 4th Avenue South. 35210, because I've found that if you do not do that, you end up in Birmingham with all your stuff. I'm starting my third year in Irondale, and I had a couple of observations I wanted to make to the council. I have provided software for permitting, inspection, and code enforcement for quite a large number of states in the southeast in my previous life. I'm old now, so I don't do that kind of thing. But I've been in a lot of different kinds of cities of the size of Irondale and everything, and I want to compliment this group because the people that I have come into contact with, the city workers, very conscientious, service-oriented, and very pleased to be working for Irondale. And I think that's unusual. So you're to be commended for that. A minor point, okay, the road in back of my house, it's kind of like an alley and everything. There is one light that is different than all the others and is not shielded in any kind of way. I happen to like astronomy. I have a telescope, and I have to close my blinds. It's so bright. Okay, it's a different kind of light. It's halogen, I think, or whatever, and one of those ecological things or whatever, that messes up the birds, that messes up everything. And it's just a simple matter. There's other lights along that alley that are shielded and everything else. It's the only one that's that way. So that's a minor item. Just want to point that out. Another observation is that you just put the roundabout in up the hill and everything. And that is something that a lot of communities have found very valuable once you teach people how to use it or whatever. In our train detour getting back into Irondale, it's made for a circle. Has anybody ever considered that? I mean, it's got all of the right kinds of exits and stuff, and instead of that, we're going in and making left turns and everything else like that. It almost only is a paving issue, or you've got plenty of space to do it.
What intersection are you referring to?
I don't know my streets real well. If you go past if you're going around the trains and you come around and you go into the north side.
Okay.
He's talking
Okay,
about
and one's to the park and one's to the
I understand.
and
Yeah.
and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your comments on that.
Okay. The last item is, I think, is a serious item.
Your time is up, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. If we have
Don't let
time,
them
we
know
may,
about the train
if
that's
we,
going to go into your community.
if we have time to circle back around to you, I will do my best to come back to you.
Sorry, I
Thank
should have done it in a different order.
Any other comments to the council on non-agenda items? There was a gentleman here a moment ago that was looking to speak.
I'll take his place for a minute and then he can come up.
Okay.
The city clerk already has my paperwork, Stephen Marino, 8743 Bainbridge Tracy Drive. Just wanted to express my support of the 2023 R188 when it comes back up. Something needs to be on the books in some format that keeps the gist and intent of that particular resolution. The city needs to take credit for what they're using public funds for. And that's all I'll say about that particular item. But please keep that in mind when it does come back up for the vote, even though those changes did actually expand it some where it was a little more magnanimous than this version that I had. But thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Like I said, I do not want to pass over the gentleman that came up. I don't see him in the audience here. I want to make sure. Okay, he left. Okay, then we'll accept some other comments.
Lynn Marino, 3743 Bainbridge Trace Drive. On a lighter note, we're having our Irondale Arts Council show this coming Friday and Saturday. It's next to Dance and Things. This is our 8th year. And we have a lot of state award-winning artists. And I think we also have some artists that are not from Irondale. So I really would love to see some of the city council, some of the city administration, and of course, the citizens to come out, because it makes a huge impression on these people from other cities to see the support. And I mean, there's a Vulcan at the zoo that one of our artists was commissioned to do. You know, there are Vulcans all over Birmingham, but she was commissioned to do it. So, 8th year, we want to see you. Got some great deals, some great pieces. And ladies, your husband said you could have anything you want.
Thank you. Any other comments to the council on non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
John Vavona, 1296 Shades Terrace. Last council meeting, you passed the mayor's resolution by 3 votes for tax money to a nonprofit, Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice. I quote from their Facebook page dated May 19, quote, Governor Ivey must veto House Bill 379 and prevent this unconstitutional discriminatory bill from becoming law. Sign the petition, end quote. House Bill 379 is the Alabama Property Protection Act signed by Governor Ivey 12 days ago. This bill prevents certain foreign governments or entities from owning land in Alabama, notably land near military facilities and bases. I'll close by another quote from their May 19th Facebook post in reference to House Bill 379. Quote, this law undermines foreign investors from countries like China, end quote. Let me repeat. This law undermines foreign investors from countries like China, so they support a communist country owning land in Alabama. Shameful. Here's the screenshot from what I just said, which all of you had in an earlier email from me. Thank God for Governor Ivey and the Alabama legislators who passed this bill in the interest of our national security. This group also supports open borders and abolishment of ICE. The Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice fails to recognize the importance of our national security while enjoying our freedoms. Use your own personal money to this organization, but not our tax money that don't support this flag. And since they don't support this flag, they don't deserve our money.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments to the council on non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I sent my garbage bill in and I paid 2 months. And I paid what was on the bill. And then I got a bill for $4 more, which is totally fine. So they said I would have to pay like $7 late fee, which brought it up to $11 and something if I was late. So I called and I said I'd like to pay the $4 that I owe. And she said, okay. She took my card number and she said, and oh, by the way, they're going to charge you $2 to pay your $4 bill. So I'm thinking, you know, guys, could we just get a break here? You know, I pay my online, on the phone all the time with my credit card, my debit card, and I never get, oh, well, we're going to charge you $5 to pay your bill. For $4, you know, it's like, I don't know. I just had to have my say about that because I don't think that that's fair. You know, I paid the $54 that was on the bill, and evidently the increase, which I don't have a problem with, but I do have a problem with wanting to pay what I really owe and not have to pay a lot of extra, because I paid what was on the bill. It was not my mistake. So, just want to let you know.
Noted.
And yes, and I do agree with Councilwoman Quaylar's resolution.
Noted. Any other comments to the council on non-agenda items?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ralph Clark, 37, my legs asleep, sorry. 3748 Bainbridge Trace Drive. I had the opportunity to meet with the mayor a few months ago, and we were having a conversation, and the mayor pointed out to me as I was, venting a little bit about the construction and the design of the roundabout. He pointed out to me that it was a county project. I also recently attended this Citizens Academy, or, I don't know what these guys.
Citizen engagement.
Citizens engagement, right. And there was a presentation given by all the department heads. One thing that sort of piqued my interest was the water department had noted that, he presented his budget, and I saw there that there was a $437,000 expense for water utility relocation at the roundabout. And the mayor had told me that it was a county project and that Irondale had nothing to do with it. So I was wondering why Irondale footed the bill for $437,000 to relocate water utilities. And that wasn't, something that was bounced back to the county or to those that benefited from that realignment.
I can make sure you have someone that can speak to you on that.
Want me to answer?
If you feel like answering at this moment.
Well, the reason that the city paid that amount because it was the city's utilities that we were relocating. The city has a water line that runs up there, so we were relocating our own lines. But instead of us doing that, trying to coordinate that with having two different contractors in that same easement being able to do it, the city decided to allow the county to bid it out and for them to oversee relocating the city of Irondale water lines.
But the water line had to be relocated because what?
Because the city was getting the roundabout and the new road that you now have in there.
Okay, so it was the roundabout that
It was a city project.
caused the relocation.
It was a city project, but the cost still was bared by the city. That's how it works in Jefferson County.
Very confusing.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I've already said it was a county project. It was a county project, but it was the city water lines.
I understand that, but it was the county project that was the reason the water line had to be relocated. So why didn't the county pay for it?
Because usually in construction projects here in our area, whoever the utilities are usually responsible for the expense to relocate it. Just like AT&T had to pay to relocate theirs. Just like Spire had to pay to relocate theirs. The city of Irondale had to pay to relocate theirs as well.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments on non-agenda items? All right, so before we move for an adjournment, I just need to clarify, Councilman Box, when you introduced the agenda that we deliberated on and are going with as far as the official record, can you re-specify how that is to be introduced, if there were any items to be added or removed? If you could just refine your introduction.
Removing the agenda, removing item 3 from the consent agenda, and also resolution item 12 from the consent agenda, and adding item 17, which was resolution R191.
I believe we only removed 12.
We only
You are correct. We left 3 on.
We left 3 on there. So for the record, the agenda was introduced as presented with item number 12 being removed and then later item number 17 being added. Okay, perfect. We satisfied, legal? Thank you. All right. With no other thank you for that. I just want to make sure legal, want to make sure we dotted our I's and crossed our T's. With that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.